Greetings, everyone. I'm Mar. Once again, this is my opinion. As you can tell from the title up there, I'm continuing my trek through the episodes of Everybody Loves Raymond, one at a time and one season at a time. Continuing to near the end of Season 8. We only got a couple more episodes left, and then we'll be in the home stretch of the final season. And this is one, of course, written by Tom Caltabiano and Mike Royce. And it is Crazy Chin. Like I said at the end of the last episode, this one is going to try to delve into the psychology of why Robert touches his food to his chin, and a little bit of when he started it. And part of it is approached through an outside perspective. Now, we, the audience, have seen since the beginning that Robert does this. Now, there's times where it's a little inconsistent, but kind of fits a little bit of the psychology they're going to go in. And it's also going to make a little bit more sense. So I guess you could say in one way it's trying to fill in gaps in logic and of a potential plot hole here, but it also makes for a fun little scenario. Now, like I said also at the end of the last episode, you could have probably done an episode similar to this earlier on, maybe when they started dating or were getting serious, or maybe even in the lead up to the wedding. But it works better now that Robert and Amy have acclimated a little bit to married life. They're seeing the in-laws a little bit more, and they seem to be getting a little bit more used to the idea of Robert being their son-in-law and seeing that he does make Amy happy. And it goes from there. Now, episode opens where we see Robert and Amy with the in-laws. They're all talking. And, of course, the subject is broached of why he does the Crazy Chin. And Robert doesn't seem to have an answer. It's just something he's always done. Now, Amy tries to help Robert. And she puts in this big old scenario at their house where she's doing all comfort food, making him feel good, to try and calm him down to where he doesn't do this. And it doesn't work. He's still doing it a little bit. And, of course, this leads to the two of them having an argument about this, which leads to them ending up at Marie's house in different circumstance, and a big old kerfluffle discussion with the family. Just from how I've described this situation, you could probably already see where it's going with them. Now, Robert and Amy reconcile, but everyone is all talking about why he does this. You know, they all give different stories about times they've seen him do it. Like Frank mentions one time he was at the lodge with Robert. Robert wanted a pickle from the jar that was up on the bar stool stand. They gave him one, and everybody kept seeing him do the Crazy Chin thing. So they're like, hey, keep giving him pickles. And of course he ended up throwing up because those pickles have been there since the lodge opened over a decade or so prior. And that led to another little complex of Robert where he doesn't want to eat pickles anymore. He always is like, ew. Which, being someone that does not like the taste of pickles, I get it. But that's just me not liking the taste. It's an ADHD sensory thing, so sue me. And they start telling other stories, like Ray's story about the time they got busted by Marie on an Easter for eating their candy because he was doing that thing. And they almost got away with it, but because he had some marshmallows stuck to his chin, that busted him. And they delve more into the psychology of it, and it seems that the reason that Robert does this goes back to Marie and how he felt neglected after Ray was born. And it was how she would clean his chin and all that. She used to do that for him, and then it seems like after Ray was born, she stopped doing it. Which I know some people go, this is an awful interesting and I guess you could say I'm trying to think of what the word is right there. It's a convenient little explanation, but given how we've seen how Marie always seems to favor Ray unless she finds out he does something stupid, like with the party episode, or when it's something that she's trying to get what she wants, like with the whole setting up Robert and Amy, she always favors Ray. To a stupid degree, where, if, like, let's say if this is real, anyone watching can be like, really? Why are you favoring one son that much? Even if he is the younger and the baby, you shouldn't be favoring one child this much over the other one. But with all that, it's believable that it would extend that far back. I mean, even in the one flashback we saw where Patricia and Ray played Frank and Marie in the flashback, we've seen that it seems like Ray still got favored by both parents even back then. More so Marie, but a little bit of Frank, but that was also when Ray had his busted arm, so that's to be expected. So, with how a child's mind works, it would make sense that late toddler or early childhood Robert would start doing that to try to recreate the feeling he got from having that mother's love, and that's something that just carried over, and it also being a stress response. Now, there are times where you see he does it throughout the show where there's no stress involved other than like whatever stupidness is going on in the episode, even if it's calmed down. But he has a stressful job, so there's that little bit of mitigating level there. And there's other stuff at play. So with everything all going around, it would make sense he would do that more. And of course, probably off screen in the episode we saw where there's a lot of stress, like when Deborah and Marie weren't talking to each other, he was probably doing it a lot off screen. So it makes sense. A nice little psychological answer there. And that's from how I'm talking about it. We get the type of humor you would expect from this type of scenario, and it is all pretty funny. And of course, the title Crazy Chin comes from the Robert's Divorce episode, because that's what Joanne called it. And then, of course, in the Raybird episode, it's called the Chin Thing, but the less I say about that episode, the more that's better. Now, apparently, there is a missing scene here, according to IMDb, and I'm going to read this little thing verbatim. The original broadcast version of this episode included a flashback scene to the Barone kitchen where, with one hand, Marie was feeding baby Raymond with her airplane method of getting him to eat, giving him all her attention and focus, while with her other hand she was feeding Robert without paying close attention and consequently missing his mouth and touching the food all over his chin before getting it into his mouth. This scene, which fit perfectly into the storyline, is now gone from all streaming and DVD versions and is not included in any deleted scene compilations. Its disappearance remains a mystery. So let me see real quick if I can find it here on YouTube. Okay. If I can, I'm going to include it down below when I post this. And of course, if they did this, it would not be the first time they did it. I mean, ending of the last season, there's that weird thing. Not seeing anything specific yet, but I'll keep looking, and if I find it, I will post it. But that is just weird. I don't understand why they sometimes do that, delete something after the fact. It's just stupid. The only thing I can think of is unless there's like some copyright reason with it, but an earlier season had Freebird, and that song is still on the DVD, so I don't know what. That's really all the trivia there. And there's really not much else to talk about this episode with. I mean, it's a nice season 8 episode. Not my favorite, not my least favorite, but it's a competent one. I'm trying to go back on the trivia thing, so. Oh, what the hell? My internet thing's not working now. Let's see. Oh, great. Okay, here it is, because I needed the name of the next episode. That's why. Oh. Alright. Oh, yeah. Now, the next episode, another one the writers had a little fun with, just from the scenario, with the new characters to throw in there. And it, of course, is the Easter episode. And it involves Ray and Patricia McDougal having a nice chat with one another. And, of course, a little bit of the jealousy fallout that follows. But, of course, that will be next time, everybody.